States, private enterprise free state, and on the check on. So peep it, my people. We are here today and we are going to be talking about frivolous filing. All right. We are going to be talking about frivolous filings, my people. Frivolous filings. Gather in. Get your pen, get your piece of paper. Time to take notes. We give free info here. IRS tax compliance, my people. Did you go into your IRS portal and see if you have a tax compliance yet? Well, you need to go check your tax compliance to see whether or not you owe taxes on anything. So you need to go pull down, download your IRS tax compliance form. It'll tell you everything on your taxes for whatever year you may owe taxes. So, the primary addresses to cure and set off and discharge all your tax compliance debt with the IRS, you have to settle the debt with a 1099 OID, a 1099A, 1096, and you have to have supporting affidavit with it and internal revenues. You have to send it to the Internal Revenue Service, Ogden Submission Processing Center, 1973 Rulon White Boulevard, Ogden, Utah 84404. That would be the address that you put on the 1099A and the 1099 OID. You are the payer, and the IRS is the recipient. So if you have debt that is like $20,000, $30,000, any type of debt with the IRS, and you know that you have the authority to settle debt now on your own and set it off, here's another address too that you're going to have to send. So you have two addresses where you have to send. No, there's actually three addresses where you're going to send your set off and discharge private package to. So I just told you the first address is Internal Revenue Service, Ogden Submission Processing Center, 1973 Rulon White Boulevard, Ogden, Utah 84404. And the second address is Department of the Treasury, Internal Revenue Service, Ogden, Utah 4201. And there is a third address that you send it to too. Department of the Treasury, Internal Revenue Service, 1111 Constitution Avenue, Northwest Washington, D.C., 20221. So you have to do a 1099A, 1099 OID, and the 1096. You are the payer, and the recipient is the Internal Revenue Service. Department of the Treasury, Internal Revenue Service is the recipient. And the address is the 1973 Rulon White Boulevard address. Now, once you do your 1099, you receive them back through the mail, is when you send the entire package out. And you're going to send that entire package out to those three addresses: 1111 Constitution, Department of the Treasury, Internal Revenue Service, Ogden, Utah 84201, and then you're going to send it to the Rulon White Boulevard address. So they can't say that they never received it. So you have to send it certified mail return receipt because it's a contract. The green card is the contract. When you receive it back, now you know that you're in the contract, and then they received your mail. So yeah, you're gonna have to do that. You know, you could either file it if you have your TCC and you can go into the IRS portal and do it for free, great. But if you know, and they do the 1096 for you. So along with that discharge package, you're gonna have to put in it the 1099 OID, the 1096, the 1099A, and this is a discharge or a set-off package. It's a private package. You're going to put your cover letter referencing the tax compliance balance. That is why you have to download the tax compliance document, because it gives you everything about what you owe. Whatever year it is, it's going to all be on there on the tax compliance document. You're going to have a certificate of service along with that. You have to account reference number if you have a CP14 notice, a CP504, or a letter of the tax years that you owe. And you're going to include your used for payment coupon along with the 1040 voucher. Okay? And the used for payment coupon is endorsed accepted value. That is how you endorse it, accepted for value. So you could just write it on there, accepted for value, or you can get you a stamp, accepted for value. Now, you know, that is the process on how to settle your debt with the IRS. Because those tax forms, the 1099, is all done directly into the IRS. Once they receive those forms and it's accepted, now you take the next step, gathering all the documents together, putting together your package, and then mailing it off to the 3 addresses. Yes, it's a costly process, but if you want your tax refunds, you're going to have to they're either supposed to take it out of your tax refund that you've already sent in. You know, they're supposed to do that, you know, but in the meantime and in between time, you can settle this debt on your own with the proper documents. So some people may never have gotten the debt settled and they wonder why. It's because they didn't include the 1099A OID and their offset package with all the documents in it so that the IRS can do what they need to do. But if you don't have the authority to execute these documents, then you need to do your status correction to execute the process. So, you know, yeah, it's a long drawn out process and it's very costly, because what's costly is the mailings and time that you're putting in. That's why you have to pay yourself. You, as the trustee, fiduciary over the account now, and it's documented on your Form 56 and 2848, and you have your trust up and your rate, you can now pay yourself, meaning pay the estate, pay the trust, and if you have put in your trust document how much the trustee gets paid, then there's no discrepancy. Because believe what I'm telling you, they are checking they're checking for the I'm telling you real, they're checking for the trust. All right. a person called me back today and said that they received something, a document from the office of, I think it was they said Social Security Administration sent them a document. I said, well, read it to me. So they read me the letter, and the letter, the person told me that the letter had upper lowercase, and then in one portion and section of the letter, it was all caps. And the all caps part, you know, all caps is when they're shouting at you. The person read off the all caps, right, in that letter. The all caps was pertaining to the trust. They demanded from that person that they wanted to see the bank account for the trust. They wanted to see the funding, how it was funded, and the person told me something else about that document and the trust. So basically, let me see, because they sent me an email. They just sent me the email. It said, look, I'm looking at this email right now. The person sent me just a little section of the all caps where they were shouting in the document from the Social Security Administration. It says, other important information. That was all upper and lowercase. Then right below it, it's all caps. Everything is shouting. It says, return this letter with proof of the actual assets in the name of the trust. Include bank statements, investment statements, and proof of all funding sources. So, personally, I told the person to go and look it up. Does the Social Security Administration have the right under the Constitution and under trust law to demand return this letter with proof of actual assets in the trust's name, including the bank, the bank statements? They don't have the right to even ask you for your bank statements when the trust is private. So a lot of people better start looking up, because you're going to have to put the Social Security Administration on notice that you have your trust and that's how you operate. Everybody is going to come to the point where you're going to have to face them. So that's what she told me. And I was like, wow, you're going to be actually in the ring, fist fighting with the Social Security Administration when you put your trust up and you notify them. Everybody needs to start looking up. Does the Social Security Administration have the right to demand under trust law and under constitutional law? Do they have the right to demand your bank statements, your investment statements, and proof of all funding sources for your trust? It's not their trust. You know what I'm saying? So, this, it gets deeper and deeper when you put these offices on notice, because once you start putting the offices on notice, they don't want to let that $1 trillion account go. They know how much is really in that account. Your SSN account is worth trillions. Now, you are starting to be the trustee over it, take over that account. Believe me, they're not going to let that account go without a fight. And that's the part where all your OIDs and your whole private process to offset and discharge come into play, because you have to show the authority And when you do the Form 56 and 2848 against the Social Security Administration, against the Federal Reserve, against the IRS, and against the other company, the four companies, you know, you're going in to take over the entire financial assets in that account. So you have to put your trust up in Treasury Direct. That's why hardly nobody, every time nobody really knew on that 1522, you know, everybody thought, oh, I'm getting my money in 2, 4, 9 weeks, I think it was. And you wait and 9 weeks come, nothing happens, because we didn't really know the process. We didn't know we had to put a trust up. We didn't know we had to have full and complete status correction. So, you know, this is a really, really deep process. You really can't sleep on this process. You can't be playing games with the process no more, because this process is going to make or break you. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong at what we are doing, but it's the documents that you're putting on file to give them notice. You know what I'm saying? You know, everything from what I saw in the letter is great, upper and lower case, but when they demanding this shit, they have demanded, okay? This was a demand. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm going to see if I can show it to y'all. Just the all caps part of this shit. Because once you see what I'm saying, you're going to be like, that shit is wild. You know, when I saw it, I was like, oh shit. So I downloaded it. And I'm like, you know, niggas need to see this shit. So here it is. I'm gonna see if I can let y'all see this. Okay. What's up? You see this, people? Look. You see that? This shit is in all. Hold on. Y'all need to see this. This is in all. You see the caps? You see the caps? You see that? It's all caps. So, do you see what I'm talking about, my people? Look, in all caps from the Social Security Administration, what they were saying. Okay? So, I'm going to read it to you. It says, return this letter with proof of the actual assets in the trust name, include the bank statements, investment statements, and proof of all funding sources. This is what the SSA, the Social Security Administration, is going to ask you when you put your trust on file and you give them the SSA notice that you are now going to be the new trustee and administrator over the SSA account. Your SSN number, you're going to now administrate it. They're going to send you some type of letter demanding to see your private trust. So you're going to have to look up the laws on, you know, trust law, and can the Social Security Administration ask you for your bank statements? Can they ask you for your investment statements? And can they ask you for proof of all funding sources when, you know, they have nothing to do with your private trust? And I don't care if it's domestic. They still should have no, you know, hands in your cookie jar. So my people, Like I told you already, this goes hand in hand with your status correction. So all four, the Treasury Direct has to be put on notice, and you have to put your trust up with Treasury Direct. They're gonna ask for a copy, so you're gonna have to give them an an abstract of your trust. You got to give the Social Security Administration an abstract of the trust, but they should not be peering into your bank accounts and then having your bank account numbers. That's insane. No way, no how will they ever get any type of information. You can have an abstract. Here's the abstract of the trust. Other than that, you have no privy to my private records. Can I please see the private records of the book ledger that you keep that I have never seen already? They won't show us that, but they want to see our shit. That is insane. Ain't no way, no how. It ain't happening. So they could take that and shove it up their ass. So basically the Federal Reserve, you're gonna have to put them on notice. You know what I'm saying? Now, the Federal Reserve, I don't know how that's going to work, but you're going to have to start with the SSA, because you got to put them on notice, because that's the SSN number that runs everything, all the credit, anywhere on the planet. So, and if anybody was doing their in the creation of their trust, they would have put that social in their trust to control it. And they would have put the birth certificate in their trust to control it. Because you have to snatch it out. But that is why you have to authenticate the BC, because you own the BC. Fuck what you heard, all that dumb shit, these other gurus is talking about. You don't own you own the BC, you own your name, and you damn sure own the SSN number. You own your Social Security number. It has anything that has your name on it, you own it. Don't let nobody talk you into that it's not yours and this and that, yada. All of it is yours. You own it. Go back, listen to you own it. Now, the other day, I was talking about piracy on the high seas. You can't file anything with piracy on the high seas on that 843. Don't even mention piracy on the high seas, because then they're going to flag everything that you're doing as frivolous, because they're saying piracy on the high seas will get you in trouble if you put that on an 843 to the IRS. But that's what they say, so don't do it. But we all know that these niggas are piracy on the high seas, 18 USC. We already know what they doing. But they don't want you to put it on an 843 because they don't want to go to jail for life. Put on your court filing piracy on the high seas of why you're taking them to court. That's a different story. But on the 843 form, don't put it, because you end up getting yourself in trouble. So, my people, getting yourself out of these frivolous filings. The only reason half of us caught a frivolous, because we didn't know the whole process and we listened to somebody that gave us the wrong information. You know what I'm saying? Frivolous filings is to, I gave you the mailing addresses. You may have to go back and listen, but I'll repeat it one more time for the newcomers that are coming in. There's 3 addresses that you're going to mail your mailing off to pay off all your frivolous filings. And you need to go into your IRS account and you need to download the tax compliance form document. Once you get the tax compliance document, when you get that document, when you get the tax compliance document form, you know, we got some real nosy ass motherfuckers in the house. You know what I'm saying? They are so fucking nosy, my peeps. You see what I'm saying? When you start talking about the IRS, niggas want to fucking flock around you and all types of shit up. You know what I'm saying? Niggas want to flock around you talking about the I, the R, and the motherfucking S. All right, I had to move because niggas is always nosy like a mofo, you know. Back it up, motherfucker. Back it up. Get the fuck out of here trying to hear what the fuck I'm talking about. Get a fucking life. All right, so my people. What was I saying? So you have to download that tax compliance document. You got to go into your IRS portal and download the tax compliance to see if you owe any taxes on anything, any frivolous filings, anything. Because the bottom line is, if you owe taxes, yeah, if you're doing the process and you know you're collecting on all of these tax credits now, and you're doing a tax return to pull down some of those tax credits that you file for, they're gonna, before they even give you that refund, they're gonna look throughout the entire system, including the state, to see if you owe money anywhere, because they don't want to give you that money anyway. So if you owe the state, the state is gonna pull from that tax refund, and wherever else is gonna pull from it. That's why you need to settle your debt so there's no debt in the system, and they won't hold your tax refund for these long amount of days, 180 days, you know, it goes on, because they're searching the system to take the money so they don't have to give you back a damn dime. Straight up. That's the bottom line. So if I was y'all, I would settle all my debt before I even do a tax return. Just settle all your debt. Basically, to settle your debt, we just you got 3 mailing addresses in the system to settle all your debt. The first one is Internal Revenue Service, Ogden Submission Processing Center, 1973 Rulon White Boulevard, Ogden, Utah, 84404. You got the second address is Department of the Treasury, Internal Revenue Service, Ogden, Utah, 84201. And then you got the 1111 Constitution address. So you're going to have to send all your private debt set off and discharge package to those 3 addresses. And you're going to have to include the 1099A, the 1099 OID, the 1096, and your affidavit of discharge or offset. You have to put a cover letter referencing the tax compliance balance. You have to put in a certificate of service. You have to have an account reference number with a CP14 or CP505 or a letter for the tax year that you're settling. You have to have a used for payment coupon, endorsed, accepted for value. All you need to endorse it is accepted for value. And you know, whatever other documents you think you need to go with it, but you're going to have that whole package, that whole settlement package. That's how you're going to have to do it. And if I was you, I would settle all my debt before I even think of doing a tax return, because you have a better chance of having nobody holding up your tax refund when you have no debt anywhere in the system. That's the bottom line. So, you know, and if you do want to do your tax refund to settle the debt, then you're going to have a waiting period with that tax refund, because they're going to pull from that tax refund everything that you owe. And sometimes they might not even pull from it. They'll just let it sit there until you settle the debt. You know what I'm saying? Or unless you send them a 843 and you tell them you're using that tax return as a set off to set off the debt that you owe in the system. And then they're going to come back and ask you, well, send us the documents of what you owe in the system so that we can apply it. You see what I'm saying? That's why sometimes it's just better to settle all before you put the refund, before you put the return in. So it's up to you how you want to do it. But, you know, we live and we learn when we doing this process because we see how long it can really take to even get a refund. You know, the refunds that we're getting and we're asking for, I mean, that we are weeks as, you know, executors, trustees, fiduciaries. So that's different from a W-2 because a W-2 worker is an employee, which is a slave. We're filing as collecting all the money that the administrators were collecting on us. All the corporations was collecting and acting as the nominee over us, and we never knew. But now when you know it, now you go back in, you have to correct your status to even get to even have the authority to do the filing of the 1099s, A, B, and C. It's different if it's employment, but this is not employment. You know what I'm saying? This is estate, you know, gift, all of that other type of shit. So, you know, people, you really got to wake up. You really got to see what's really going on. You got to sit back, strategize before you even put a tax return in. You need to sit back, strategize. Yeah, we in certain situations, but that is why you have to keep a motherfucking job. Straight up. Or you better have your own job, but you better be getting money from everywhere. They said multiple streams of income. Hell yes. Multiple streams of income, my people. I don't care what it is. Do what the fuck you got to do to get it, as long as you ain't going, as long as you don't have dirty hands. Because with this process, you have to have clean hands. And believe me, they want us to catch your ass with dirty hands so they don't have to give you shit. And they can lock your ass up. That is why you're going to have to use that piracy on the high seas, 18 USC. You're going to have to use it because the only way to tame the demon is to pull out these the laws on them. Because believe me, when you pull out a law and you're facing the biggest demon on the planet is the Social Security Administration. They are the biggest demon on the planet. It's a demon system. Okay? So when you tell them that you're in control of your Social Security number now and the account, the demons will get out of control. You'll see the horns come out on the piece of paper, on the documents they send you, because they'll write you in all capital letters. When you get a letter in all capital letters from the Social Security Administration, you got them motherfuckers heated. Sent in the proper paperwork. You put them on fucking notice and they don't know what the fuck to do but to scare the shit out of you now. Okay? You know, if I was to drop dead today or tomorrow, believe me, I'm doing this process. Them niggas killed my ass if I go missing. Believe that shit. I'm making it public. If a bitch like me go missing, you better fucking find the Social Security Administration, Treasury Direct, Federal Reserve, and what's the other one? The other organization. So, you know what I'm saying? That's how you know. Because when you get the letter in all caps from the Social Security Administration, you done did the right, you handed in the right paperwork. Now they gotta scare the shit out of you. They either scare the shit out of you or they take your ass on up out of here. So, I don't fear a goddamn thing, and I'll make it public notice. I don't fear a fucking thing. So, if they wanna, I got guardians in all types of fucking dimensions that are well protecting me every breath of the motherfucking way. Straight up. So any document these motherfuckers send me in all caps, they ain't putting no fear in my heart. They just showed me that I did the right fucking thing. Straight the fuck up. And I don't give a shit if they're listening. Because that's the bottom line. They want to put fear in you so that you don't stand up for yourself. They want to keep you in docile mode and not in your superhuman status. Fuck that. So, you know, somebody flashing lights on me, and they parked in the car. The windows are all tinted up. It's an SUV, big one. They just watching. It don't really I don't give a shit who's watching. Because if I'm doing right paperwork, then that means, yo, whatever. So my people, I'm tuning in to let you know that you're going to have to put these people on notice. Yes, you're going to have to find the backbone. You're going to have to find a vertebrae inside of you. You're going to have to find the gills like a fish to start swimming through this motherfucker, because we are all underwater right now within this process. Everybody is underwater when you are doing this process. And the only way that you're going to come out of this fucking ocean is to properly file your documentation and to status correct. If they watch you, if you feel like you're being followed, fuck them. Call on your higher power, and your higher power will protect you every breath of the way, 100% covered. The covenant is upon everybody that's doing this fucking process. Believe what the fuck I'm saying, straight up. Because these motherfuckers have found a way to say, no, you can't use piracy on the high seas against the IRS, when they are the biggest pirates on the high seas out here right now, stealing motherfucker shit in mid fucking air. They can steal a tax refund electronically in mid-air, my people. Straight up. Straight the fuck up. They steal anything in mid-fucking-air. What up to all my people in the chat? Yo, I'm dropping the Willy Willy on y'all. I don't know if y'all listening. I don't know how many people's in here, because, you know, they block shit up. But I ain't gonna be on here too long. You know what I'm saying? I've been on here for 40 minutes, y'all. I hope y'all heard what I said, because this shit is real. You know what I'm saying? This shit is real. You don't believe this shit? Behind me. What you see? What you see? What is this shit? Yeah, so, you know, they got an SUV behind me. He parked right there, turned that way so that he could fucking see what I don't know. Maybe I'm paranoid. I don't know. But the bottom line is, my people, is that I've been on here for an hour. If you doing this fucking process, you know, you better stand, and you better stand strong. You need courage, you need strength, you need power, you need defense, you need an army of invisible angels and demons to guard over you every breath of the way right now, because as I said earlier, the biggest demon organization, so-called non-profit, the Social Security Administration claims to be a non-profit. You know, that's a fucking lie. You know what I'm saying? If somebody actually put the Social Security Administration on notice and took their ass to court to produce the fucking records, you know, it would all come out. I mean, Doge, all of them, yada, yada, yada. All them niggas need to be put on notice, because they all stealing. They say, oh, you can't prove it. It doesn't matter if you can prove it or not prove it. If you are in your IRS account that you have opened up, if you opened up your Social Security Administration account so that you can see everything that's going on from day one, then you would know what I am talking about. Straight up. Because once you've gotten into your Social Security Administration account, you could see all your labor from day one. Okay? Once you're in you opened up your IRS account, now you can see all the 1099s and all your tax documents that you're filing. And you can see how it all comes back to you, the nominee. So then you will understand that when you never knew that you could open up a Social Security Administration account and self-govern your own account without any administrators over you, but a third-party debt collector, the IRS, then you see the truth. And nobody else can tell you nothing different, because you're in the account watching it day by day. You've seeing and monitoring all of your labor in the Social Security Administration account day by day. You will see that you can go in and put your trust up. You can go in and make yourself the executor and trustee and fiduciary online on your Social Security Administration account. And you don't have to be collecting Social Security benefits. You open it up to understand what the fuck is going on. You know what I'm saying? Niggas are so bent on, oh, I don't get Social Security, I don't get disability, I don't need to open it. You need to open the account up to understand what the fucking process is. That is why they don't want you to they have already brainwashed people that you only get Social Security when you turn a certain age, or if you end up becoming disabled. Not true. You need to just open up your Social Security account and start self-governing yourself, because there is someone else self-governing your account for you, and they're collecting, and they're the nominee. The Social Security Administration has been nominating them own selves and taking all of your interest. The military has been taking all of your interest. Anybody that's been in the military is the nominee over your fucking pay. Over all your assets from the military they claim themselves as nominee because you too fucking stupid. And in self-governing your own account is how you become a trillionaire. Other than robbing somebody fucking else, or going on digging up gold, or going on some type of quest and discovering all of this wealth from within the earth. Precious metals. All of that shit can make you a trillionaire. But the bottom line is that you could never even become a trillionaire until you get these niggas up off your account calling themselves nominees and thinking that they own you, when in actuality you own yourself and you own your own process and you own your own account. They are only administering the account till you come back lost from sea. And when you come back from lost from sea, you have to tell them about the Cestui Que 1666 Act. You have to include that with your documents, because there's a section in there that says if anyone comes back, and wants to make a claim, they can, because it's lawful. Fuck legal, it's lawful. Okay, the Constitution, it's in there too, but it doesn't reference the Cestui Que v. Trust, but it references that you have to self-govern and you have the right. The Declaration of Independence, you have the right to self-govern when the states go buck wild on niggas. That's not the wording, but when it gets out of hand, everybody has the right to self-govern, meaning they have the right to set up their own court, their own state, and they can do their status correction and they can start to self-govern themselves. Yes, it is a long road, okay? The Mormons do it. The Hasidic Jews do it. Some other people, they do it too. And there's a whole lot of other people who do it, okay? Now, the trillionaires that are on the planet, the multi-billionaires that are on the planet, they all self-govern. The reason why you are in a fucking poor status is because you don't self-govern. When you are in self-govern mode, they can't just lock your ass up because you have paperwork on file. Okay? Shit. When you walk into the county clerk's office, half of them already know who certain people are. They know. But the bottom line is, my people, is that frivolous filings, you can recoup that. Just put your paperwork on file, do your status correction, start 1099 and shit, take over the accounts, pay them shits the fuck off. Pay them off. They have to accept it because it's an IRS document. Okay? So you're going to have to catch a backbone. You're going to have to fucking start to stand up, because nobody really can stand. They have bigger guns, but we have the biggest gun on the planet, which is a motherfucking pen. The pen and a piece of motherfucking paper is bigger than a bomb. Let them drop a bomb, because that's what they do anyway. They're demonic, evil people with big toys and explosives. But guess what? The God that we serve, okay, is way bigger than any explosive they'll ever have. That is why we're still here. Without us, there is no account. Okay? So, you're going to have to pray to your higher self, straight up, for the protection, because going through the IRS is going through the pits of fucking hell. It's demonic. You're dealing with names that are the names that they put on the papers, that the letters that they send you. If you flip them over, it'll have a certain name on it. Told you, do ritual on them motherfuckers. But they'll have a certain name. I don't even think those people are real. I think we all know that they're generated letters through a computer system. They just send them out randomly. You know what I'm saying? I don't think none of the people behind these letters are even real. Yeah, we can walk into the local IRS and we'll see these workers there. Understood. But, they have sophisticated clones nowadays. Now, look who they put over that Social Security Administration. A nigga, SpaceX, and a nigga that creates clones. Tell me if Elon Musk has not switched a lot of motherfuckers out up in there, and half of that Social Security Administration could be cloned the fuck out. All of the motherfuckers could be clones, because you got to remember, Elon Musk, he got SpaceX, he was dealing with the brain shit, yada yada, all types of shit, making clones, yada. And then if you look back at the old Twilight Zones, they always showed you in some of them clones. Then you seen the movie Attack of the Clones, where they were all clones and they came and they attacked a certain planet. But they were clones. So you have to really, really think about the process, because Elon Musk creates clones, my people. Okay? The nigga is creating clones. You have to understand what the fuck is going on right now. We, the real people, are flesh and blood, but you don't know what's really real now when you walk up in these offices, because they need compliance. They need a worker that is not going to bow to any other thing but the compliance of what they teach them and tell them to do. So, just like today, walking up in the county clerk's office, you go, I'm going in to get a motherfucking, let me see if this nigga that nigga left. I'm going in, my people, to get fucking, a DBA for an estate. These niggas at the county clerk gonna tell people, oh, we can't give you a DBA for estate. If you cross out the estate, then we could give you a DBA for just your name. No, that's not what I want. I want a DBA with this estate. So I look up quick on ChatGPT on, I asked it right there, and it did say that in the state of New York, you cannot get an estate. Estate cannot be on the last word on a DBA. You got to actually, ChatGPT will tell you why that the estate can't be used. So, the shit is deep. You can't do trust in New York, so you got to go out the state to get that done. You're not going to be able to put your estate up. You got to go out of the state to do that. So, New York, New York is a state where I think that a lot of people might as well just get the fuck up out of here, because New York is very demonic. This is a demonic state. I was born here. I'm really starting to think that the state itself, a bunch of vampires, straight up. It sounds wild. It sounds weird, but, you have to have lived here. You have to see how people are moving. I know there's vampires every fucking where, But my people, we about to get up out of here, because I've been on here for an hour. I gave you an hour of my free time. So holla, 407-300-5377. And, We can get it on. We can get it popping. Alicia, peace. Dino, YT, peace. Yeah, peace to all my people. Peace to all my people out there doing big things, making it happen, keeping it live, keeping it up. Let me get some ones up in there. Let me get some likes. If y'all liking this, if y'all feeling this, yo, can you please give some likes? Control that algorithm, my people. Control that algorithm. Yo, peace to the person popping up in here. Peace, peace, peace. Let me get some likes. Can I get some thumbs up? Can I get something? Because I'm about to be off in a minute, my people. This is the United States, private enterprise free state. Stay up, my people. Stay one, stay strong, and I am out.